In a world often driven by profit and progress, where the relentless march of development can seem unstoppable, there are stories that remind us of the enduring power of loyalty, service, and the unseen value of dedication. This is the story of Bill Anderson, a 72-year-old farmer who stood on the precipice of losing everything he had built over a lifetime of unwavering commitment. But fate, or perhaps something more profound, had a different plan in store. What happened in the 24 hours after a simple sign was posted would not only change Bill's life forever but also serve as a powerful testament to the fact that some things in this world are worth far more than dollars and cents. Prepare to be moved, inspired, and reminded that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the spirit of service can summon the most extraordinary interventions. Bill Anderson's hands, gnarled and strong from decades of working the land, knew every inch of his 1,000-acre farm like the back of his hand. Unlike the sprawling, impersonal corporate farms that dotted the modern landscape, Anderson Farm was a deeply rooted family affair, a testament to generations of connection to both the soil and the nation's defenders. For 3 generations, this land hadn't just yielded crops, it had also served as an unsung but vital training ground for the United States military. The tradition began during the tumultuous years of World War II. Bill's grandfather, a man of quiet patriotism, recognized the urgent need for skilled pilots. He offered a section of his land, a relatively flat and open field, for nascent aviators to practice takeoffs and landings. It was a small gesture, born out of a profound sense of duty, but it planted a seed that would blossom into a decades-long partnership. Bill's father continued this legacy, understanding the crucial role his farm played in national security during the tense years of the Cold War. Every week, without fail, he meticulously maintained a special landing zone in the South Field, ensuring it was clear and ready for military helicopters from an airbase 2 states away. This wasn't a formal agreement, no hefty contracts or government mandates were involved, it was a handshake understanding, a quiet commitment between a farmer and his nation. For the past 30 years, Bill himself had carried this torch. Just like his father before him, he would diligently tend to the landing zone. The locals knew Anderson Farm for this unique contribution. When young pilots needed the invaluable experience of night landing practice, Bill would stay up late, carefully positioning the markers, his weathered face illuminated by the soft glow of the lights against the inky blackness. His wife, Martha, a woman with a heart as warm as her freshly brewed coffee, would often join him, preparing steaming mugs and hearty sandwiches for the weary crews during their long training sessions. "Can't expect our boys to train on empty stomachs," she'd often say. Her voice filled with a maternal concern that extended beyond her own family to the young men and women who would one day safeguard their nation. Even during the demanding harvest season, when time was the most precious commodity, Bill always ensured that South Field remained clear. He understood a fundamental truth: military readiness couldn't wait for the corn to grow tall or the wheat to ripen. The safety and skill of the pilots were paramount, a responsibility he and his family had shouldered with unwavering dedication. The vast expanse of the night sky, usually a canvas of serene beauty, felt menacing to young Lieutenant David Miller on that particular training exercise. The blackness beyond the cockpit windows was absolute, a disorienting void that swallowed the familiar landmarks of the day. He was wrestling with night landings, a crucial skill that felt frustratingly elusive. Each approach to the dimly lit landing zone at Anderson Farm seemed fraught with peril, his instruments offering guidance that his anxious senses struggled to interpret. He'd overshoot, correct too abruptly, and then find himself fighting to regain a stable descent. The seasoned instructors in the debriefing room offered technical pointers, diagrams of approach angles, and calm reassurances, but a knot of uncertainty remained stubbornly tied in his stomach. Bill Anderson, a silent observer from the edge of the landing strip, had witnessed the young pilot's repeated struggles. He saw the furrow in his brow beneath the helmet, the tense grip on the controls evident even from a distance. Bill wasn't an aviator, his expertise lay in the rhythm of the land, the changing seasons, the unwavering cycle of planting and harvest. Yet, he possessed a different kind of wisdom, a deep understanding of perseverance and the weight of responsibility. He recognized the young man's dedication, the frustration etched on his face mirroring the countless hours Bill himself had spent battling unpredictable weather or stubborn soil. After one particularly shaky landing, as Lieutenant Miller climbed out of the cockpit, his shoulders slumped with disappointment, Bill approached him with a gentle demeanor. He didn't offer technical jargon or flight theory. Instead, he spoke of his father and grandfather, men who had faced their own daunting challenges, not in the air, but on the ground, defending the same principles of freedom the young pilot was now training to protect. He recounted tales of wartime sacrifices, of neighbors banding together during the lean years, of the unwavering trust placed in the young men and women who wore the uniform. His voice, weathered and warm like the sun-baked earth, carried a quiet authority that transcended rank or profession. He spoke of focus, not just on the instruments, but on the inner compass, the gut feeling that often guided one through the darkest moments. He emphasized the vital role these young aviators played, the immense responsibility of safeguarding the nation's skies and the lives entrusted to them. He didn't minimize the difficulty of the task, but he framed it within a larger context of duty and honor, reminding the young pilot that the challenges he faced in training were but a small reflection of the sacrifices others had made and the responsibilities that lay ahead. That night, something profound shifted within Lieutenant Miller. Bill's words weren't a lecture, they were a quiet passing of the torch. A reminder of the human element behind the complex machinery and precise calculations of flight. He approached his next landing with a newfound sense of calm, a quiet determination replacing the earlier anxiety. He trusted his training, yes, but he also trusted the intangible sense of purpose that Bill's stories had stirred within him. The helicopter descended smoothly, the landing gear touching down with a reassuring thud. For the first time that night, a genuine smile touched Lieutenant Miller's lips. Years passed. Lieutenant Miller rose through the ranks, earning his captain's bars and serving multiple tours in Afghanistan. He navigated treacherous terrains, faced unimaginable pressures, and relied on the skills honed during those demanding training sessions at Anderson Farm. During a brief leave back in the States, a nostalgic pull drew Captain Miller back to the familiar fields. He didn't arrive in a military aircraft, but in a rented sedan, his uniform neatly folded in the back seat. He simply wanted to see the place where he had faced one of his early career challenges and the man who had offered more than just landing instructions. He found Bill tending to his fields, his hair a bit whiter. His movements a touch slower, but his eyes still holding that same steady warmth. Captain Miller introduced himself, a hint of the young lieutenant still present in his respectful demeanor. Bill, his brow furrowed in thought for a moment, then his eyes lit up with recognition. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, the only sound the gentle rustling of the wind through the tall grass. Then, Captain Miller extended his hand, his grip firm and sincere. "Mr. Anderson," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I never forgot your words that night. You didn't just help me land a helicopter, you helped me find my bearings. Thank you." The unspoken gratitude hung in the air, a testament to the profound impact of a simple act of kindness and the enduring power of human connection that transcended the boundaries of land and sky. For 40 years, Bill's quiet dedication had never caused any ripples in the county's affairs. He was a respected member of the community, known for his integrity and his silent contribution to the nation's defense. But the landscape began to shift when a Silicon Valley developer, Techscape, with its insatiable appetite for expansion, bought up the surrounding farmland. Their vision wasn't one of rolling fields and community ties, they saw only prime real estate for their sprawling new tech campus, a monument to innovation and, more importantly, profit. And right in the middle of their meticulously planned blueprint sat Anderson Farm, the developers, sleek and detached in their tailored suits. Approached Bill with an offer that, on paper, seemed generous. "We are offering above market value, Mr. Anderson," they stated, their voices devoid of any genuine understanding of the land's true worth. But no amount of money could ever replace 5 decades of unwavering service to his country, a legacy woven into the very fabric of the farm. For Bill, the farm wasn't just acres of land, it was a crucial training facility that had helped countless pilots master the skills they would need to navigate treacherous skies and return home safely. Some of those very pilots had gone on to serve in every major conflict since Desert Storm, their expertise honed in the fields Bill had so diligently maintained. Bill would often sit at his worn kitchen table, the final eviction notice lying heavy between his calloused hands. 50 years of Anderson family tradition, a legacy of quiet service stretching back to his grandfather, was about to be erased, not by war or natural disaster, but by corporate developers who couldn't comprehend the value of what they were so carelessly dismantling. His father had maintained these fields through the chilling uncertainty of the Cold War, and his grandfather had first offered the land amidst the global conflict of World War II. Now, seemingly mundane zoning laws and the relentless pursuit of profit were poised to succeed where even war had failed, one by one. Bill watched his neighbors succumb to the allure of the developers' offers. The Montgomery Place, the farm next door where helicopter crews often rested between grueling training exercises, was already marked for development, its familiar barns and fields soon to be replaced by sterile office buildings and parking lots. Down the road, the Wilson family, who had maintained 200 acres that served as a vital emergency landing zone, had also sold out, their land now slated for sprawling housing developments. Every night, Bill would sit with Martha in their quiet kitchen, the developer's glossy brochures lying unopened on the table. "I don't understand it, Martha," he'd say, his voice thick with a mixture of disbelief and sorrow. "We've been helping train pilots for 50 years. How can they just erase all that history, all that dedication?" Martha would reach across the table and hold his hand, her touch a silent reassurance. She remembered all the young servicemen and women they had supported over the years, the countless late-night training sessions they had facilitated, the quiet pride they both felt in their contribution. But they both knew, with a heavy certainty, that time was running out. One particularly difficult afternoon, the weight of the impending eviction became too much to bear. With trembling hands, Bill fashioned a simple wooden sign. On it, in stark black letters, he wrote, "Notice, Military Training Zone Closing, Anderson Farm, serving our forces since 1943. The act of writing those words made the impending loss feel terribly real, a tangible acknowledgement of the end of an era. Below the stark announcement, he added a smaller, more personal note, "Thank you for 50 years of service to our country." Bill didn't immediately inform the military about the eviction. Perhaps a part of him hoped for a miracle, a last-minute reprieve. He continued to maintain the landing zone. The rhythmic whir of the helicopters a familiar soundtrack to his days. But those who knew him well could see that something was amiss. His usual proud stance was now stooped with a quiet resignation. His voice, once strong and steady when radioing coordinates to incoming helicopters, now held a faint crack of despair. A young local reporter, eager to capture the human element of the encroaching development, came by the farm to take photos. She asked Bill about the farm's history, about its unique role in military aviation training. He recounted the story of his grandfather's initial offer during World War II, of their continued support for pilots through the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and beyond. He spoke of the countless young men and women who had honed their skills on his land, their faces etched in his memory. Bill didn't expect much from the resulting article, perhaps just another fleeting story about progress inevitably erasing history. But something about that simple, hand-painted sign, coupled with the rich history it represented, resonated deeply with people. The reporter's photograph of the sign, stark against the backdrop of the seemingly ordinary farm, began to circulate through military channels, shared among active duty personnel and veterans alike. 5 decades of pilot training ground gone, just like that, one post lamented, the stark simplicity of the words carrying a powerful emotional weight. The story gained momentum as people began to share their own memories of Anderson Farm. There were anecdotes of crucial night landing training exercises, recollections of emergency procedures practiced under Bill's watchful eye, and fond memories of Martha's ever-present coffee and sandwiches during long, demanding exercises. A collective sense of loss began to brew, a recognition that something valuable, something intangible, was about to be lost forever. Retired Air Force Colonel Evelyn Reed, a decorated pilot with tours in multiple conflict zones, saw the circulating photo of Bill's sign. It struck a deep chord within her. She remembered her own early days of flight training, the daunting challenge of night landings. She vividly recalled a particularly difficult training session at an unfamiliar field, the darkness feeling absolute and disorienting. Then, a clear, steady voice had guided her in, providing precise coordinates and calm reassurance. It was Bill Anderson's voice. She had never met him, but his professionalism and quiet dedication had helped her overcome a significant hurdle in her training. Seeing the sign, the possibility of that vital training ground disappearing forever filled her with a profound sadness and a sense of injustice. She shared her story online, her heartfelt words adding another layer of emotional weight to Bill's plight. Bill was in his barn that evening, the familiar scent of hay and earth a comforting presence amidst the turmoil. The insistent ringing of his old landline phone cut through the quiet. His daughter had been urging him for years to get a cell phone, but Bill had always maintained that the old rotary dial worked just fine. He picked up the receiver, a sense of unease settling over him. "Mr. Anderson," a formal voice inquired. "Please hold for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs." Bill almost dropped the receiver. His mind raced. This had to be a prank, a cruel joke in the midst of his despair. But then, another voice, authoritative and calm, came on the line. "Mr. Anderson, I saw the story about your farm. Tell me about it." For the next 20 minutes, Bill spoke from the heart. He didn't talk about politics or property values. He spoke simply of service, the quiet, unwavering dedication that had defined his family's connection to the military for 3 generations. He recounted the countless late nights spent guiding helicopters in through the darkness, the satisfaction of watching young pilots transform into skilled aviators, the quiet pride in teaching the next generation the true meaning of dedication to their country. He spoke of the 50 years of meticulously maintaining the same landing zone his father had marked out, a silent promise kept across decades. The chairman listened intently, his questions focused not on legalities or financial implications, but on the human element, the intangible value of Bill's commitment. "Mr. Anderson," the chairman finally said, his voice carrying a weight of authority and genuine concern, "we can't afford to lose training grounds like yours. Give me 24 hours, Bill could hardly hold the phone. His calloused hands were shaking so badly he thought he might drop the receiver. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the highest-ranking military officer in the United States, had just promised to help save his farm. After months of feeling like all was lost, a fragile flicker of hope ignited within him. "Martha," he called out to his wife. His voice filled with a mixture of disbelief and elation. "Martha, you won't believe what just happened." Martha came running from the kitchen, her face etched with worry. "Bill, what is it? What's wrong?" That was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs on the phone, Bill stammered, still amazed by the unbelievable turn of events. "He saw our story. He wants to help save the farm." Martha's eyes welled up with tears, a release of the pent-up stress and sleepless nights. After all the worry, after watching Bill work himself to exhaustion maintaining those fields, finally, someone in a position of power understood. The next morning dawned with an air of anticipation Bill hadn't felt in months. He finished his morning chores, the familiar routines now carrying a lighter weight. Just as he was heading back to the house, the unmistakable sound of rotor blades filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. He looked up, shielding his eyes against the morning sun, and saw an Apache helicopter appear over the tree line, its formidable silhouette cutting through the clear sky. It was followed by 3 sleek Blackhawks, descending gracefully towards his training field. These weren't the familiar helicopters of the local training crews. Bill recognized the markings. This was the Pentagon's own fleet. A symbol of the highest echelons of military power. As the helicopters settled onto his field, 2 generals stepped out, their uniforms crisp, carrying briefcases that looked heavy with purpose. Bill's heart began to race, a mixture of awe and nervous anticipation churning within him. "This had to be about the chairman's call, Mr. Anderson," one of the generals said, extending his hand and showing his credentials. "We're here to make sure your farm stays exactly where it belongs, serving the United States military." For the next hour, they sat around Bill's worn kitchen table, Martha pouring endless cups of coffee, her hands trembling slightly as she served these high-ranking officers. The generals explained the details of the plan. The farm would be officially designated as a protected military training facility, a designation that would make it legally impossible for developers to touch it. The military would lease the landing zones, providing the Andersons with a steady income while ensuring the preservation of this crucial training area for generations to come. "Sign here, Mr. Anderson," one of the generals said, pointing to the bottom of a document. "This ensures your farm will continue serving our forces for generations to come." Bill's hands shook as he took the pen. After months of believing he was about to lose everything, it felt like a dream, an unbelievable rescue orchestrated from the highest levels of military command. As he signed the document, a profound sense of relief washed over him, a weight lifted from his shoulders that he hadn't even realized he was carrying. The general smiled as he carefully packed up the signed papers. "The chairman wanted us to tell you something," he said, standing to leave. "He said to remind you that some things are worth more than money, and supporting our military is one of them." The same day, the 2 generals paid an unexpected visit to Techscape's opulent corporate offices. The developers, accustomed to wielding their financial power, were taken aback by the arrival of these high-ranking military officials. The usual confident swagger in their voices faltered, their faces paling as the generals presented them with new paperwork, official orders regarding protected military installations, "But our development plans," one of the executives stammered, his voice laced with disbelief, "have been superseded by national security interests," the general stated firmly, his gaze unwavering. The developers, realizing the gravity of the situation and the futility of arguing with the United States military, suddenly found a way to drastically revise their ambitious plans. Their focus shifted not just from Bill's plans, not just for Bill's farm, but for all the surrounding farmland that played a supporting role in military training. within hours, the other farmers who had reluctantly sold their land began receiving unexpected phone calls. The Montgomery place would remain a rest area for helicopter crews. The Wilsons could keep their 200 acres as an emergency landing zone. One by one, the threatened farms were being protected, their vital contributions recognized and secured. Today, Anderson Farm still stands, a testament to the enduring power of service and the fact that some values transcend monetary gain. Bill, now a bit older but with the same twinkle in his eye, still meticulously maintains the landing zones. Though now, he has a young apprentice by his side, his grandson, Jimmy. Jimmy, eager to learn the family tradition, works alongside his grandfather, absorbing not just the technical aspects of maintaining the landing zone but also the deeper meaning behind it. The training schedule is busier than ever, a constant reminder of the vital role the farm continues to play. And Martha, her smile as warm as ever, still makes sure every training crew is greeted with hot coffee and fresh sandwiches. A small gesture of appreciation that speaks volumes. Bill still stays up for the night training sessions, his familiar figure a comforting presence against the darkness. He still says the same thing he said for over 40 years, a simple truth born of experience: can't expect our boys to learn in daylight only. That original closing notice sign, the stark symbol of a threatened legacy, now hangs proudly in his barn, a reminder of a battle fought and won, not with weapons, but with unwavering dedication and the recognition of true value. Sometimes, visitors ask Bill about the day the chairman called, the day an Apache helicopter landed in his field and changed everything. But Bill just smiles. A knowing look in his eyes, and quietly changes the subject. He'd rather show them the newly installed, state-of-the-art landing lights, or invite them to watch the powerful helicopters practice their approaches against the setting sun. What happened at Anderson Farm wasn't just about saving one family's land, it was a powerful demonstration that sometimes, the most valuable things in a nation can't be measured in dollars and cents. While developers saw prime real estate ripe for profit, the military saw what Bill had known all along, that some traditions of service, woven into the very fabric of a community, are worth protecting at all costs. If you were moved by this story of unwavering loyalty and unexpected intervention, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more tales that unveil the extraordinary in the ordinary. Don't forget to check out the video currently on your screen, you won't want to miss another inspiring story. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Oh, and never underestimate the power of a simple sign and a lifetime of quiet dedication.